It all kicked off with a dent, no bigger than a softball, discreetly tucked into the rear bumper of my sedan. That tiny blemish somehow sparked a full-blown war. A certified letter arrived from the HOA, typed in "You won't believe this Comic Sans," informing me that VY Civil Vehicular Imperfections breached Article 6, Section 8 of the Community Beautification Mandate. Apparently, my car was tanking neighborhood morale, and I owed a $75 fine. I chuckled at first until the fine print sank in. Failure to pay within 7 days would slap a lien on my property. Enter Monica, the HOA board president, self-appointed, of course, and a woman who seemed to channel the spirit of a fluorescent safety vest. She strutted around the neighborhood, clipboard in hand, decked out in fake pearls like she was auditioning for a reality show about suburban dictators. My dent became her latest obsession. I tried reasoning with her, explaining it was from a rogue grocery cart and that I'd already booked a repair. But Monica wasn't having it. "Intentions don't count," she snapped, sipping from a tumbler emblazoned with Boss Queen in glittery cursive. "Presentation does." I noticed her scoping out other cars too, peering under fenders with the enthusiasm of a washed-up traffic cop. Within days, 5 neighbors got hit with fines for nonsense like a slightly crooked license plate, a smudged headlight, and get these a car parked too perfectly. Monica had turned the HOA into her personal game of vehicular whack-a-mole, and we were all losing. Worse, she funneled the fines into her pet projects, think unrequested seasonal flower baskets and solar fairy lights shaped like martini glasses. Complaints? Lost in the ether. Board meetings? Scheduled for 10 a.m. on Tuesdays when most of us were at work. That dent, though small, became a hill to die on. I filed a dispute, complete with photos, receipts, and a notarized statement from a neighbor confirming the repair was underway. Monica shot it down in 22 minutes flat, writing, "We can't allow leniency, it sets a precedent," like she was guarding the Declaration of Independence. That same day, I spotted her Prius parked halfway onto the community walkway, a clear violation, but, surprise, no fine for her. I printed the HOA rules, highlighted her hypocrisy, and slipped copies into every mailbox. Her counterattack? A lawn overgrowth warning for a weed sprouting from her sidewalk crack, followed by a $50 fine for my tone in an email. My wife, who usually dodged HOA drama like it was a contagious rash, quipped, "We're starring in a gated comedy." I wasn't laughing anymore. This wasn't about a dent, it was about Monica's ballooning ego and her thirst for control. At the next HOA, Coffee and Concerns meeting, I showed up with a PowerPoint, The Decline of Sanity in Pine VYEW Estates. The crowd snickered as I wrapped up with a graph linking Monica's fines to her power grabs. "This isn't a community," I said. "It's a monoctatorship." She called me disruptive and slammed her gavel like a discount Judge Judy. That night, a handwritten note warned me about undermining HOA authority through satire. Reason wouldn't cut it. Monica didn't enforce rules. She wielded them like a club. If she wanted war, I was done playing nice. I emailed a towing company for a quote on something big, heavy, and symbolic. "Can you source a non-working military vehicle?" I asked. The rep hesitated. For restoration?" "For inspiration," I replied. I spent hours browsing decommissioned armored vehicles online, a man on a mission for poetic justice. Meanwhile, Monica doubled down, issuing HOA-wide car inspections. Neighbors panicked. One got fined for faded bumper stickers, another for a car that looked sad. She wasn't just power drunk, she was swerving past Logic's sobriety test. Scrolling past VYET tanks on auction sites, I found my opening gambit. This wasn't revenge, it was a lesson. Sometimes the only way to fix a dent is with a tank. 3 weeks later, at 6:43 a.m., a flatbed rolled into Pine VYEU Estates hauling a decommissioned British FV-432 armored personnel carrier nicknamed the Car Smasher. Big, loud, and matte green, it sported a bumper sticker. "This vehicle makes frequent stops for petty tyrants." I'd snagged it legally through a military surplus auction, wading through red tape, and parked it smack in my driveway where my dented sedan once sulked. Now a 7-ton symbol of defiance stood tall. I waited. At 7:12 a.m., Monica stormed out in a beige robe, clutching coffee and her clipboard. Her jaw dropped before she could cinch her belt. "You can't do this," she shrieked, voice wobbling with rage. "It's a violation of parking rules." "Actually," I said, strolling out in slippers, "it's a personal restoration project, page 27, footnote 3. I handed her a laminated copy of the rule. She trembled, flipping through her handbook like it held ancient secrets. This is a tank, not a Toyota. Technically, I corrected, it's an armored personnel carrier. No weapons, street legal, registered, insured, and cleaner emissions than your Prius. Neighbors laughed. One filmed. Monica, sweating through her robe, retreated, only to return with 2 extra clipboards and her husband, Derek, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. She tried rallying the board for an emergency meeting, but 3 members were already snapping selfies with the tank. It's her Instagram now, one grinned, posting the Monica meltdown. She filed complaints, demanded citations, and called a county inspector who, after checking the tank, asked if his kid could pose with it. He confirmed my right to park it, as long as it stayed safe and didn't block walkways. Monica's screeches hit dog whistle levels. She tried a safety angle, kids might climb in and start a war, so I offered a giant, do not touch, property of the HOA rebellion sign. She didn't laugh. Her unraveling peaked at the Pine VYW Community Unity Walk, her annual PR stunt. Families in pastel polos gathered, clutching her overpriced flyers promising fun, fruit, and fellowship. She expected it to restore her reign. Instead, folks skipped her speech to hang out by my driveway. Someone draped the tank in streamers, a team DJ'd from the roof. Monica arrived with a bullhorn yelling, "This isn't approved." A toddler stuck a thank you sticker on her leg, and she nearly fainted. Her control slipped further when local veterans saluted the tank, sharing tales of vehicle-based defiance. One brought his Air VYC dog leashed and trained, but Monica tried fining it for unauthorized sniffing. The dog barked once, she flinched like it signaled a coup. That night, her passive-aggressive newsletter, Presser VYing Peace Amid Unsi VY List Vehicles, featured a Photoshop tank with missile launchers and a rant about militant residents. I framed it on the tank for photos. Even her niece posted a selfie captioned, "When Aunt M tries to rule your soul, but you VYB with armor." The tank didn't just draw attention, it forged unity. Neighbors bonded over HOA horror stories, fines for overly cheerful wind chimes, a tinsel ban for flashback hazards. The more we shared, the less we feared. Monica's breakdown hit when she filed a cease and resist order against vehicle-based intimidation. My lawyer framed it as a birthday gift. I replied with a handwritten note. This tank isn't intimidation, it's inspiration, a monument to resilience against HA tyranny. No turret, just purpose. It went VY-RAL on Reddit's r/HOA fails, earning tags like parked legally, lives rent-free, and Monica meets tons of irony. This wasn't just a protest, it was a movement. She'd underestimated her battlefield, and I hadn't even cranked the engine yet. Her next move? An email blast titled Neighborhood Emergency Response Directive, claiming the tank threatened community cohesion. Her plan, tow it. That Tuesday, a puny flatbed crept into the cul-de-sac. The driver muttered, "You said, oversized SUV. Not a military bathtub on tracks." Monica, in heels and fury, waved a self-typed emergency vehicle removal authorization form, signed as acting HOA president, a title she'd invented that morning. "Move it," she barked. The driver eyed the tank, scratched his head, and said, "Lady, this weighs more than my house. I'd tow my soul into the pavement first." I handed him local regs and tank specs. It's a registered restoration unit, covered by HOA rules. Monica's the one breaking them. He snapped a pic for Instagram. Can't tow freedom. Fuming, Monica escalated to the county. Big mistake. Compliance officers launched a full probe, not just my tank, but the HOA's entire citation history. 2 days later, they arrived with clipboards, drones, and industrial-strength coffee. They uncovered Monica's selective enforcement, unapproved fines, and misuse of funds: patio heaters, private landscaping, a wellness retreat in Sedona for her and her Yorkie muffin. She'd forged e-signatures, including from a board member who'd moved to Nevada years ago. Confronted, she claimed executive override authority. The officer deadpanned, "Ma'am, this isn't a superhero MOVYE." At the next meeting out in the rec center, due to turnout, Monica's slideshow, "Why Tanks Ruin Communities," flopped. Slide 3, a blurry pic of me grilling by the tank captioned, "Insubordination in progress," drew laughs. Someone yelled, "At least he shares ribs, Monica." Derek, her weary husband, took the mic. "I didn't sign off on any fines. I just mow and try not to sob." The room gasped as he admitted, We were a team until she fined the Wilson's cat for lounging. Neighbors piled on fines for HOA flags, overly blinky lights, sprinklers running a minute past hydration harmony hour. The county suspended Monica's authority, hinting at criminal charges for fund misuse. She turned to her board for support. They scooted away. One even donned sunglasses. I stayed quiet, sipping tea by the tank. Asked to speak, I said, I rest my treads. That night, local news ran HOA tank protest crushes corruption. My phone buzzed with messages, HOA tips, vet flag offers, even Monica Muncher cupcakes from a bakery. Monica faced county and state reviews, her garden fund frozen, her catchphrase, I am the HOA, mocked on t-shirts. I parked the tank, and all Monica got was a fraud probe. Then came the bombshell, leaked emails. Greg, our tech-savvy neighbor, found them while fixing a board member's hacked account. In a folder labeled Private M, Do Not Touch, Monica had plotted with Harborstone Communities, a shady developer notorious for flipping HOAs into condos. For 9 months she'd schemed to dissolve Pine VYW and sell it off, angling for a neighborhood transition consultant gig. Dula $185,000, a Lexus hybrid, and an Aspen speaking slot. Residents are docile, they complain but comply, she wrote. I've upped fines to weaken resistance. They'll thank me when it's a Whole Foods and yoga retreat. Another. The tank guy's a hiccup temporary. Greg dropped the emails in the HOA chat, Operation Hoax VYEW. The next night, we confronted Monica at her Restoring Savoy Lighty meeting. Before she could serve lemon bars, we projected the emails. They'll thank me for rooftop kombucha patios glowed on the wall. She stammered, that's out of context. Greg fired back, was neutralize resistance part of CIVY Lighty? She'd rated Uzmi a 7, persistent nuisance, theatrical potential, and tagged the Patels, 31-year residents, as elderly, likely to sell under pressure. Derek stood, Karen, were you EVYing us for Aspen? It's elevation, not EVY tie-in, she snapped. He walked out. With 73 fan of the vote, we ousted her under Article 12, Section 3. She posted a shaky Facebook Live, misunderstood visionary silenced by fear, comparing herself to Joan of Arc and Elon Musk. Comments roasted her, you can't allow purple shutters but want Whole Foods? Harborstone bailed and Monica's dreams of Lexus and Aspen evaporated. Her house became the betrayal bunker. Undeterred, she skulked back 2 weeks later in a trench coat and sunglasses, caught at 2:17 a.m. sabotaging the tank with bolt cutters she couldn't wield. She aimed to cut brake lines, tanks don't have those, and pried at panels with a crowbar. My dummy alarm Bluetooth speakers blared, step away. This tank is guarded by the Pine VOW Coalition against Monica. Odis flashed. She screamed, tripped over a gnome, and belly flopped into a kiddie pool. Derek sighed, Monica, did you try unscrewing it again? Caught on 6 cams and a teen's vlog, HOA Monica vs. Tank, epic fail, hit 1.2 million VYUs. Hashtags like the Tankgate and the Gunome drop trended. She denied a tuntle her rhinestone-embroidered Monica HOA president coat gave her away. The neighborhood banned her from events, fined her Dula $750 for tampering, sweet karma, and her insurance doubled her premiums. Derek moved to the guest room, joined the HOA and quipped, it's nice to help without breaking in. The tank. A monument now kids named it, seniors sipped lemonade by it, murals adorned it. Monica's sabotage only cemented its legend. Her final gambit, a 12-page Comic Sans lawsuit as HOA rep, post-ouster, alleging tank-induced trauma. She sued Mead herself, listing her property as co-defendant. My lawyer laughed. She's suing herself to spite you. The judge dismissed it, fining her Dula 1/200 what you charged for poor vehicle posture. The state probed her impersonation, threatening a ban. The tank? A landmark now per Greg's filing. Monica's house hit the market overpriced, then slashed. Open houses flopped as neighbors trolled with tank engine sounds and Monica-free bake sales. She petitioned the city to ban heavy vehicles. They laughed, citing the tank's historical status. Her rant, driven out by tank worshippers, was mocked. Derek left and she sold to a couple who quipped, leave and never return. The tank led our Unity Parade, dubbed From Fines to Freedom. We renamed her house Unity House, shredded her name from records and revised bylaws to prevent future Monicas. She tried a comeback elsewhere but got rejected. Dokic's tale had spread. Banned statewide from HOAs, she faded into obscurity, her legacy a cautionary meme. The tank stays solar-lit with a plaque to the community that refused to roll over Aunt Monica's clipboard. From a dent to a revolution, we won with trust, laughter, and a 7-ton middle finger to tyranny.